Hello, today we're going to review the Nikon D3400. There are three things you need to know right now. Firstly, this is the short review for the Nikon D3400. If you want more details, then click here. Secondly, we have produced a fantastic guide for the Nikon D3400 and you can download it absolutely free either here or in the description. And it tells you all about this camera and compares it with all the other cameras which are available at the moment. And thirdly, if you want 20% off our superb manual about this camera, then please watch to the end and follow the links, and you'll get 20% off our digital version. Hello and welcome to Camerawize. Today we're going to be looking at the new Nikon D3400, which is Nikon's latest entry-level DSLR camera. It's aimed primarily at people who want to learn about photography and who are perhaps moving up from bridge cameras or compact cameras or coming straight in from having done mobile photography with their mobile phones. As a result, it's designed to help people to move along from the automatic settings, which they'll probably use initially, onto the semi-automatic and manual settings and help them become more creative with their photography. The camera itself is made of very tough plastic. It feels quite robust and sturdy in your hand. It has a very deep grip here, which means that you can hold it quite easily with one hand, though of course you shouldn't take pictures like that. And in general, it feels like you've got a proper camera in your hand. Now, the important elements in any camera are the file size and the processor. The file size for the Nikon D3400 goes up to 24 megapixels, which is a really big size. You're not going to need anything larger than that unless you're going to be shooting billboards. And the processor, which is the XSpeed 4, is a very competent processor. It gives you very clear, bright images, and it's quite quick too. One of the selling points for this camera, which you'll see on the side of the box and in a lot of advertising, is that it will go up to an ISO of 25,600. Now, that basically means that it will take pictures in the dark. This sounds great, but actually I'm not convinced that most photographers, particularly at this level, would want to go beyond an ISO of perhaps 3,200. The noise ratio on 3,200 is in fact very good, and that's in no small part down to the processor. But really, 25,600, unless you actually want to shoot pictures in the dark, I would say that that's a bit of a red herring. Now, one thing I really do like about this camera is it will give you 5 frames per second continuous, which takes you almost into the realm of professional action photography. This will do very good action and sport shots as a result of that, and that's a real bonus for a camera at this level. Another thing I really like about this camera is that it's got a very good high-resolution back screen. Now, the back screen isn't articulated, so it doesn't move, but nevertheless it's high resolution and clear, which is very useful. Why you might use the back screen is that if you're used to compact photography, then of course you'll be used to taking pictures through the back screen, and you can do so here. You can also shoot video through the back screen and compose your videos. And the reproduction on the back screen from shooting stuff through the lens is actually, as I say, very clear and actually very accurate in terms of what you see. The other reason for using the back screen is to access the menus. Now, there are 4 menus on here, and because there are only 4, it's actually quite difficult to find things in them because there is a long list, a long subcategory of elements in each menu. I think I would have preferred Nikon to have had more menus with shorter lists of subcategories within them, but that was an option that Nikon took, and it actually means that it's sometimes quite difficult to find what you're looking for. Now, one of the things I really do like about this camera, and which I think would appeal to people who are moving up from bridge cameras or compact cameras, is that it has some very decent effects on it. And these can be used either before you take the picture or can be applied afterwards in certain cases. But the effects that you have here are really, really useful. You can have, for example, night vision, which is a sort of grainy black and white shot. You can have super vivid, which really punches the colours up. You can have pop, which likewise punches the colours up, but tends to work more on pastel colours. You can have photo illustration, You can have toy camera, which gives the effect of a picture having been taken with a cheap plastic lensed camera. You can have miniature effect. You can have selective colour, which makes the photograph black and white except for the thing that you've chosen to be colour, which looks really effective. And these effects can really help your pictures stand out, and they're great fun to use too. Now, if you want to see more videos about the Nikon D3400, then please press like below. The next thing we should be looking at perhaps is the autofocus. Now, the Nikon D3400 has 11 autofocus points in a diamond shape, which pretty much go across the screen as you would look at it either from the back screen or through the viewfinder. And I would say they're pretty competent. Because of the processor, the autofocus is pretty quick. And I might just pull aside here and talk about the lens as well. If you buy the kit lens, then you get the Nikon AFP 18 to 55mm lens. Now, AFP is a new type of lens, and the P stands for pulse motor. It's primarily on this camera in order to make it more attractive for use with video. And the pulse motor is very quick for autofocus and also very quiet.
And have an RB so you get a parent. No, I swear to God.
No, you're not listening to what I just read to you. The reason they're red is because birds' eyes are sensitive, they don't want them.
But the speed of this autofocus on the lens is actually very, very good. And it would tie in very neatly with the 11-point autofocus system. Now, why would you want more than 11 points in that diamond shape? Well, if you were photographing something very quick or very small, then the chances are it might possibly fall between autofocus points as you're looking at it through the screen. In which case, the camera will lose track of it and will have to refocus when it moves back into an auto point. So obviously, the more points you have, the more chance the camera has of maintaining it in focus as it crosses the screen. But 11, I think, is pretty good for a camera of this category, and I don't think you need to worry about needing more unless you want to do something very specific, perhaps action photography for things like tennis, where the ball is very small and moves very quickly. Now, talking about the lens brings us on very neatly to using this camera for video. It's actually a very good video camera. It will shoot HD, which is 1080. It'll also shoot 720. And it will shoot 1080 at 60p, which means that it will shoot at 60 frames per second, which is about twice the required speed that you would need to shoot video. So in other words, it allows you then to shoot at twice the speed, so you can slow it down for slow motion action at 1080, which is at the highest real level until you get to 4K. So it's actually very, very good. In terms of manual and auto exposure for video, it has both, and they both respond pretty well. The auto exposure works very well and gives you very good, clear exposure for video, and the manual is also very good. The one downside is that this camera, like all other cameras in fact in its category, does not have an external microphone socket, so you can't fit an external microphone to this camera. It does have an internal microphone, which is okay, but if you're going to try and shoot anything like a professional level in terms of video, you will need either to get a field recorder or even actually record it on your mobile phone. There are apps for that these days, or consider getting another camera. One of the things that people who are moving up from bridge cameras or compact cameras, or even in particular mobile phone photography, will be keen to know is whether this camera has any Wi-Fi or wireless connectivity. Well, it does have NFC connectivity, in other words, Bluetooth, and that will enable you to transfer pictures of a certain size and resolution to a mobile device like a mobile phone or a tablet. Then, of course, you can put that from there onto social media. What it doesn't have is Wi-Fi, and there are cameras out there like the 1300D that do have Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi would enable you to operate the camera remotely and be a bit more flexible in how you transfer your images. But it does have NFC, Bluetooth, and it's actually pretty reasonable to use. Don't forget to like this video if you want to see more on the Nikon D3400, or even better, subscribe. And now we get on to the verdict about this camera. Well, the Nikon D3400 is an excellent camera for entry-level DSLR photographers. It's very well made, it's very sturdy, and the sensor and processor combination are very good. 24 megapixels is a huge size of picture. You're not going to want more than that. And it produces very clear and very realistic in terms of its color saturation pictures, and very detailed too. In terms of autofocus, which is partly the processor's responsibility, the autofocus is very quick, and the 11-point diamonds are very useful and very appropriate for this sort of level of camera. The 5 frames per second continuous is really very good and will give you an opportunity to shoot action or sports photography with this camera. So that's a good thing too. Things that I don't like about it, I think I've mentioned before. I think the menus are far too complicated. It's actually quite difficult to find what you're looking for within them because there are too few menus with too many options inside. And finally, although it has some great effects inside this camera, and I really do enjoy using them, I think it's a shame that it doesn't have an HDR option, because HDR photography is a great way of introducing yourself to the way of being creative with pictures, and it's just a shame that that wasn't an option on this camera. That was our review of the Nikon D3400. If you want to have a look at our manual for this camera, then I suggest you either click the link here or in the description below, and then you can download a sample of our manual and 2 of our exclusive videos that come along with it absolutely free. You'll also get a 20% discount on the digital download, which is great value. So if you want to know more about this camera, then download the sample manual and the videos straight away.